Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the CRUSTY CANUCK podcast on this beautiful December 16th, 2019. Today we'll be discussing Boris's victory in Britain and more Hollywood mumbo-jumbo. All that and more coming up on the CRUSTY CANUCK podcast. Stay tuned.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Equally worthless, all that good stuff. Yes, I'm your host, CRUSTY CANUCK, and this beautiful December 16th, 2019. Congratulations to Britain and its victory for voting a conservative party. I'm traditionally conservative with liberal values, all that good stuff, but it's good to see that our brothers in Britain and brothers and sisters, in Britain, are getting ahead with common sense. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Britain is starting to wake up and smelling the coffee and their own tea. Right? Now, I'm not saying a conservative government is always right, nor am I saying a liberal government's always right. However, when you look at all the SJW BS and all the other social justice compromises that have been going on in Britain the past 5-6 years, or more than that, it's good to see that the majority of Brits want common sense. Now, whether you like Mr. Boris Johnson or not, he speaks from the heart. He's a patriot, loves his country, so be it. It'd be nice to see more politicians in the Western Hemisphere actually care about their nations rather than care about virtue, right? Now, I don't understand the whole Brexit deal. I know the majority of Brits said, yes, let's get the hell out of the EU and let's get the ball rolling. And all these opposition parties sitting their hands saying, what about NHS? What about this? What about that? Oh, my God, my feelings, And it looks to be a shit show, folks. It seems like ourselves here in Canada and our friends in the States and our friends in Britain and Germany and every other great Western democracy is feeling the sting of all this virtue and this identity politics. And yet the people of Britain spoke. They said, no more of this bullshit. Let's get the ball going. Let's get things in the go. And what does it mean for Canada, ladies and gentlemen? Well, as always, a shining example and a beacon of fucking hope. Now, like I said before in many of my episodes, I'm not a full-blown conservative, nor am I a full-blown liberal. I'm definitely not NDP, I'm definitely not Green, and I'm definitely not Québécois. But I believe in democracy. And it's good to see that our brothers and sisters in Britain believe in it again, too. Now, I'm not against socialized medicine. However, I am against collective thinking. The whole Borg collective mentality. And I'm against bullshit. And it's good to see that our friends in Britain are starting to stand up for that too, I have lots of British friends who have weighed in on the whole political spectrum in both of our countries. And let me tell you, some of their consensus is pretty scary when it comes to who we are electing and who we are allowing to represent us in global affairs and in national affairs. And I look at a guy like Boris Johnson, and I think he's doing a pretty good job. I'll leave links and other reports and stories from some other individuals like Paul Joseph Watson and Voltaire. These are a couple of my favorite individuals that put up some good videos and some great satire and display good points of view in regards to what's going on in this whole Western Hemisphere and the whole plight of our democracies. So I'll let you decide. But when I look at Boris Johnson and I look at what he has done and accomplished for Britain, he's doing some good things. And if you beg to differ, by all means, let me know on my Facebook page. You can reach me at CRUSTY CANUCK there on Facebook, or CRUSTYBCANUCK67 at Gmail, or find me on Instagram under Canuck Crusty, or here in Podbean, or even on my YouTube page. I usually post all my podcasts on the YouTube, as well as Podbean. So I'll leave all the links at the bottom. Let me know what you think. Do you think Britain is setting a better example than what our parliament's doing? I'm pretty sure they are, especially lately with the cabinet shuffles and Andrew Scheer quitting, because apparently I guess he was taking some of the party money and putting it in his kids' education. To me, it's kind of slimy, you know. And considering a few of my friends who've been getting numerous phone calls from the Conservative Party asking for money, it's I don't know, folks. It's kind of shady. You know, as much as I want to see the healthy opposition kick the Liberals' asses in our Parliament, I'm getting a little tired of shysters and scammers alike. Anyway, back to Boris. Based on his victory, I think it was something like 368 seats compared to the Labour Party, Britain's equivalent to the Liberals. I think they had 160, 161, I believe. Great big landslide victory. So they hold the majority. They'll be making the laws, they'll be passing legislation, and they'll be kicking ass, taking names along the way. And, of course, you also read about certain Muslim groups and certain religious groups feel that they're not wanted in Britain. And, well, that's up to the British to decide. I myself, I don't care what anyone's faith is. I don't care what you believe in. I don't care if you believe in Muhammad, Jesus Christ, Buddha, the spaghetti monster, or monkeys in the lemon tree. I could give two shits. But the moment you start using that religion to try to govern and control people, we have a problem. And in any working democracy, what I like to think is a working democracy, you're opening up a whole can of worms. So, to my British friends and my listeners out there, congratulations. Hope you all the best. You know, when I look at Britain, and France, if it wasn't for those two countries, you wouldn't have a Canada, nor would you have the United States when you think about it. So let's keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. And you can hate Boris all you want. You can scream to the heavens all you want, like some of our American counterparts did with Trump in 2016. And ironically enough, you're seeing a lot of that. I'll leave some links at the bottom of this podcast so you can see for yourself. The total outrage of Mr. Boris Johnson being elected. Oh my God, he's a fascist, he's a sexist, he's a misogynist. Oh, and it's just a pitiful narrative on the outrage. You know, as much as I loathe our Prime Minister here, Mr. Trudeau, as much as I loathe what the Liberals have done to our military, to our seniors, to our veterans, to getting clean water for individuals, you know, I still have to say that he's still my Prime Minister. You know, I'm surprised how he got elected. I'm surprised how he even got through, but he's still my Prime Minister. And I'm not screaming to the heavens and, oh my God, the marginalization, you know, like some of these SJW kids are doing, you know. And I think it's a good wake-up call for a lot of these kids, you know. Comfort's not a 24/7 thing, you know. And if you're going to strap up your bootstraps and go to work every day, so be it. Right? I work. My wife works. Friends and neighbors work. We all do our part. And as in any working democracy, we're still going to speak our fucking minds. And my brothers and sisters in Britain, well done. Keep speaking your minds. Keep fighting the good fight. You know, you got lots of love here in Canada. You know, a lot of us here in the West, too, especially. You know, hats off. And hope you all the best. I hope things get done, you know. You know, the British people voted to get out of the European Union, and they still sat in their hands about it. And now you got a majority government saying, okay, we're going to do it. So, and what's it mean for Canada? Well, hopefully a good trading partner. And I know our Premier, Mr. Kenny, is in Britain right now. And, of course, the left media is all up in arms. Oh, my God, he's spending so much money going to Britain. And yet they don't give too much shits about what our beloved leadership has spent. You know, and other parts of the news, too. An executive from SNC-Lavalin, one of Trudeau's little puppets, was guilty or deemed guilty in all 5 charges of embezzlement and I think cohesion, whatever else. I'll leave a link to that. I just read the article briefly after work this morning. And it was quite interesting to see how the shitstorms are brewing. So it's getting there, folks. I think the truth is going to come to terms for a lot of people. And a lot of these left-leaning individuals who prefer kumbaya and utopia are going to get smacked with a big fucking dose of reality here. No? think a lot of people are going to be left out in the rain wondering what the hell fucking happened. Well, and it's going to prove, too, that a lot of lefties are starting to eat their own. Right? Which brings me to my next point about the movies. I've been seeing a lot of stuff about the new Star Wars, a lot of stuff about how Charlie's Angels flopped and how another remake of Black Christmas flopped. And I think people are starting to wake up to this narrative, thankfully. I remember seeing the original Black Christmas, and it was quite a weird and scary film for its time. It was a co-Canadian-American production. Had a lot of Canadian actors, a lot of Canadian talent there. I think it was one of Margot Kidder's first roles. About a deranged killer stalking sorority girls. A typical premise of modern horror. And Mr. Bob Clark did a pretty good job directing it. And now, I guess this remake of Black Christmas is about girls standing together and fighting the patriarchy and whatever subtle message is in there. And honestly, I'm a firm believer. If you're going to judge a film, go see it for yourself. But it's just another remake of a remake. Let's remake this again. Let's make it all about girl power and stuff like that. And there's no doubt in my mind that a female can fight off an attacker. But in the same sense, when you make or take a great story like Black Christmas, which was back in the 70s, and turning into political fucking dogma, like what they did with Ghostbusters in 2016, like what they have done with Charlie's Angels, and what they're doing with the Star Wars franchise, I think people are getting tired of being preached at. And lately, it goes on with the consensus, too, that a lot of people aren't excited to go to movies anymore. I wonder why. Between all the Boris Johnsons and the shithead liberals we have here and the conservatives that speak spending money and keep taking coin, and to all the people out there that want to go just see a good movie to escape all this bullshit, even that format's compromised now too, right? You just can't just see a movie to escape things anymore. Like I remember as a kid when Star Wars was coming out, the excitement and the captivation and the trials of Luke Skywalker trying to identify who his father is, and then you find out who his father is, and then, the sci-fi extravaganza of all the battles, and, it was exciting as a kid. It was, and even when the 3 prequels came out back in the late 90s, it was kind of cool to look forward to revitalization of the sci-fi franchise. Now, myself, I grew up with more Star Trek, if anything, so I'm more of a Trekkie than I am a Star Wars fan. But in the same sense, I still enjoy the Star Wars films. I thought they were great. There are some people who disagree with the prequels, okay, but there's other people that enjoy the stories, and really they are. But now, we keep looking at the new Star Wars, the Disney Star Wars, especially when Lucas sold it to Disney for was it just under $4 billion or just over $4 billion? We kind of knew things were going to change, would the quality go, would this go, would that go, and unfortunately there's a lot of critics out there who are not happy with Rey and Poe and the little pogs and the political correctness and social justice warrior ideas going into the stories, It's supposed to be good versus evil and how people are overcoming and adapting to situations and people taking responsibility and stepping up and fighting the good fight. Now we're just worried about identity and feelings and what representation are in these movies, Elizabeth Banks was quoted saying with Charlie's Angels, well, it's just misogynist men that make it look bad. And I'm thinking, well, maybe you made a shit fucking movie, Maybe you're too busy Mary suing all these female characters without giving them any kind of background or any kind of character recognition or doing an actual character study on these characters you create. That was a format for us when we were writing stories in school. Have a character study, create this character, base it on something that base it on something realistic. No one's trying to take power away from ladies. No one's trying to take any kind of creative credit for what's being created out there, but a lot of people just don't want to see these fucking movies, What else do you say? Do I need a film degree to understand what you're saying? No. Do I need an English degree to understand how you're trying to reach the masses with your SJW mentality? or you're just making garbage films, you know? In my past, I took about a year's worth of actors training, and I've recently had some actors training. I was taking part-time between my jobs here. And so I'm familiar with the acting world to a degree. You know, I've met some good actors and I've met some bad actors. And not they were bad actors because of their craft. They were bad actors because they were bad people, right? Some of the bullshit things they'd say to directors and producers alike, and the way they treat other castmates, it kind of blew me away, you know. So I don't dwell in that life anymore per se. It was a good little skill and craft to learn, but let's just say I'm not impressed with the acting world and some of the garbage they're putting out in Hollywood right now. You read some of the taglines on YouTube and other platforms in regards to sci-fi and to some horror movies coming up. Now I'm a horror fan too. I like a good scary film. Get tired of the slasher genre, but but when you keep remaking some horror films to be a political statement, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and you want to walk out of the theater. I'll leave some links to the following: the new Black Christmas, the new Star Wars, and of course Charlie's Angels. But I'm getting really, really tired of mediocre entertainment being passed off as a great film. It's fuck it. You decide. If you want to go spend $10-15 to go to a movie and be preached at 24/7, then it's you're wasting people's time. Honestly, how else do you say it? You're wasting people's time. Kids can't go and look forward to a Star Wars film anymore without being preached at. You can't find some kick-ass lady leaders, kick-ass protagonist female characters, kick-ass. It's always got to be some kind of political statement or some kind of social statement, and it gets pretty dry, pretty old, pretty quick, right? So you, my listeners and viewers out there, are like, think for yourselves, So back to Boris Johnson again and his victory. Well done again, Britain, I have to say. Hats off. And ironically enough, Mr. Paul Joseph Watson, in his video, I'll leave a link to his work there too, made a point of how Hugh Grant was out polling on behalf of the Labour Party. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the same Hugh Grant that ended up picking up a transvestite prostitute back in the 1990s while he was dating Elizabeth Hurley. So, pardon me. So, here's Hugh Grant, a successful British actor, classically trained. Your stereotypical British nice guy. Yes, hello, yes, of course. And he's out polling for the Labour Party. Now, here's a guy that's worth about 50 or 60 million pounds, I believe. Is it pounds? I think it's anyway. And him and Steve Coogan and some other British politicians polling for Corbyn's victory, and it backfired, folks. So it just goes to show how our friends in Britain are getting toward that, are getting tired of that leftist dichotomy and everything too. Don't worry, we have actors here in Canada and in the United States, polling for this and polling for that, and telling people what to do. And half these actors have made a small fortune with their craft and been lucky enough to make it in the business, with their yachts and their private planes and their, and their armed guards and their millions upon millions, telling folks like me and you what to fucking do. And I'm getting tired of it, really. It's it's getting fucking sad, But good for Britain. It looks good on these actors. You're never too old to be humbled. Regardless of what your trade is, regardless of what your craft is, or how much money you got in the fucking bank. It's always good to be fucking humbled. And I hope some of these people understand that too. You can't just herd people into a frame of mind. Social engineering has failed numerous times. And it's funny how some of these clowns keep trying again. But it just goes to show, right? So all these actors weighing in on politics and all these movies getting political and SJW oriented, because a handful of ladies are pissed off or a handful of certain identity groups are getting pissed off. It's getting ridiculous. You just can't go to a movie anymore without someone bugging you about bullshit. And I haven't seen the new Star Wars yet. I know it comes out in the next week or so, but there's a lot of people weighing in on it who don't like it. And I wonder why. As aforementioned, too much politics, too much people worrying about representation, rather than just getting back into a good story where good triumphs over evil. And it's funny when I think about that. I think about that line from Spaceballs, where Dark Helmet would say, "Evil will triumph over good because good is dumb." Right? Remember that line? Yeah. Well, if you're not familiar, look at Spaceballs. Mel Brooks. It's his parody on Star Wars, and it's quite amusing. Some of the jokes are kind of cheesy, but in the same sense, it still kind of rings true when you look at certain films. But I still get a chuckle out of that line, because good is dumb, right? So decide for yourself, folks. I'm not saying don't see these movies or, hate this because I hate it, or think for yourself. Do you want to go to a movie and be entertained, or do you want to go to a movie and be preached at? You spend $10-15 to see the film. You spend $20-25 on your candies and pops and shit, and just what, be preached at? To watch some hot girl in a wig and high heels kick ass and blame men for all their problems? Or do you want to see a good story where, some young girl or some young guy comes over or overcomes insurmountable odds to triumph by his or her own free will? I don't know. To me, that's the making of a good story right there. But time will tell. Maybe I might write one someday. I don't know. We'll see. But in the meantime, I'm just getting so sick and tired of people screaming to the heavens every time they don't get what they want. And there's a lot of people out here in Alberta and Saskatchewan, the rest of the country, who were not happy with Mr. Trudeau's decisions and the amount of debt they've accumulated. And we're not seeing too many people scream to the heavens now, are we? But we are seeing more and more young kids waking up to the fact that we can't be lied to anymore, which is a good thing. And we're seeing more and more Generation Xers, my generation, and some boomers standing up and saying, "Hey, fuck this. We're not taking this anymore." Whether it's going to a terrible movie or listening to a politician speak, or any speaker for that matter, So I think things are starting to wake up just a little bit. Not enough, but enough for people to start talking, which is a good thing. So once again, I congratulate my British friends, my brothers and sisters over there, on a well-fought victory. Let's hope Brexit becomes a reality. Let's hope, pride and the British identity is retained once again. I've always had an admiration for Britain. It's, when you think of it, like I say, it's the birthplace of Canada. If it wasn't for Britain and France, you would not have a Canada. And Canada's dear to my heart. You've heard me ramble on about that numerous times, but I'll say it again. I love my country. I love all of its peoples, ladies and gentlemen. Like the theme song says, there's no racial bigotry here, but we're all worthless in our own way. But which opens up the door to proving ourselves too, which opens the door to being optimistic and trying to be the best that we can with what we have. Yeah. And I'm getting tired of this leftist mentality where, you got to think like they think, and you got to walk like they walk, and talk like they walk. The whole groupthink mentality. And every communist dictator's tried that, and every fascist dictator's tried that. But guys like myself and my friends and other veterans and seniors, oh yeah, we're the fascists, all right. Yeah, okay, sure, Buckeye. And you're being led by the nostrils because you want free stuff and comfort. You don't want to go out there and earn it yourself, right? And thank God for guys like Boris Johnson who are telling people to get off their ass and earn it for themselves. And to start thinking and start worrying about security, Now we just need some politicians in our parliament with the same amount of balls and moxie to do the same fucking thing. Well, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyhow, that's my spiel for this beautiful December 16th, 2019. You know, like I say, ladies and gentlemen, 'tis the season. Do what you can for each other. Do the best you can. Like I said, my wife and I, we're going to drop off some food at the food bank. And we're going to be a little more charitable this year to the best of our abilities. Not because, you know, any kind of fictional God tells us. It's just because it's the right thing to do in our hearts. So do what you can to back each other up, you know, regardless of your branch of faith or of any faith for that matter. It is a festive season, so do what you can to help each other out. And my offer still stands. If you donate $5 to $10 a month on any one of my donation pages, I will graciously mail you a T-shirt of your choice from my Teespring line. That is if you donate $5 to $10 a month, right? Any T-shirt of your choice. One of my subscription lines, and you can go to Teespring, check it out for yourself. Or if you just want to donate, that's encouraged too, by all means. And I still give 30% of everything that I've earned to the Veterans Association Food Bank. They're a good little group out of Calgary. They help veterans out in need, providing nourishing food, and they also provide keys to employment. They help disabled vets out with building ramps and sedgeways for them. And they're a great pillar of the community down in Calgary. So I'll leave a link to them too. You can check them out, Veterans Association Food Bank. And if anyone listens out there and they want me to advertise any of their products and stuff or services on this podcast, please let me know via email or in the comments section, and we'll work something out. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been CRUSTY CANUCK on this festive season, and I hope you take care of yourselves and your loved ones. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, all the best, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Aye, aye, sir. There is no racial bigotry here.